Hi, friend, and welcome to Tidy the Clutter podcast. I'm Mariah, and I'm so glad you're here. This is the place where we talk about real-life ways to simplify your home and digital spaces. Let's face it, life gets busy real quick. Between work, kids, emails, and everything else on your plate, it's easy to feel like things are slipping through the cracks. The good news, it doesn't have to stay that way. In each episode, I'll be sharing practical tips, small wins, and simple strategies to help you clear the clutter both in your physical and digital spaces. You can feel more in control and have more time for what truly matters most to you. Whether it's setting up routines that stick, taming your inbox, or tackling toy chaos, my goal is to make getting organized doable, even on your busiest days. So, grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get started. Do your mornings in your house feel a little chaotic? Maybe you're rushing to find your keys, a permission slip, or fixing a last-minute lunch bag while trying to get everyone out the door on time. I've been there. But I've also found that having a simple family command center can make all the difference. Before we go on, I just want to say, I feel like there's so many different versions of the command center. A family command center for myself isn't something that's super complicated. It's really a system to organize your schedules, the paperwork, and all those little things that can slow you down in the mornings. And today, I'm going to be sharing exactly how you can set one up so your mornings can feel smoother, ideally more predictable, and dare I say, stress-free. I'll also share the systems that we use in our home, like our shared family calendar, a designated spot for keys, and even a weekly mini whiteboard that just makes dinner planning a breeze. These small changes have made such a big impact for us, and I know they can help you as well. Let's get into it. What in the world is a family command center? And why the heck does it matter? Think of it as the central hub for keeping your family organized. It's where you manage schedules, paperwork, meal plans, and those little details that tend to get lost in the everyday shuffle. When everything has a place, it reduces stress, it will save you time, and truly it keeps things running more smoothly, especially in the mornings. For us, the turning point really came about when I realized how much time we were losing on small everyday things. In our previous house, every morning kind of felt like a mad scramble, rushing to pack a lunch bag, hunting for the keys, and even trying to remember appointments. It was so frustrating thinking, why is this so hard? How is it possibly this hard? So when I realized that all we really need is a system that works for us. Simple routines and designated spots for those things that we use daily. And let me tell you, those small tweaks just made a big difference. Now we have an even better shared calendar, a system for managing school papers, and even a designated spot for our keys. It's really nothing fancy, but it works. And it makes mornings feel so much smoother. So if your mornings could just use a little less chaos, let's dive into the practical tips for setting up your own family center. Setting up a family center doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to work for your family. And I think these steps that we're going to talk about are going to help break it down. The first is start with a shared calendar. If you don't have one, oh, what are you doing? No, I'm kidding. I highly recommend one. For us, the shared family calendar is really a game changer. Like anytime the girls have appointments or there's a family party or just some big event, we add it to the calendar. Even things like when Nate is going to go play disc golf with the guys. I have now, dare I say trained him? No, but I'm going to say trained him because that's the only word that's coming to my mind. He is now trained to, when he is going with the guys, he's going to add it to the calendar because I live off of my calendar. Having it written down is a great reminder. But for someone like me who lives out of their Google Calendar, I need it in my Google Calendar, my friend. Just find a system that works for you. Whether that's a physical calendar on the wall, a whiteboard, a digital app like Google Calendar, the key here is that everyone can access it and contribute to it. This way, no one has to guess what's coming up. As of right now, our girls are pretty young, so they don't necessarily need access to the calendar. It just doesn't make sense. But when our oldest gets into maybe high school, I think it would be important for her to share that responsibility of the family calendar. She can see what's going on and she can add things in as well. But we're not there yet, so we're just going to focus on where we're at right now. The second step that I would suggest is designate a spot for your keys. This one is super simple, but it just makes so much sense. In our house, we have a designated spot in our bedroom for our keys. If Nate needs to take the other car or I need to send one of the girls to grab the keys, we know exactly where they are, and it saves us so much time from frantically searching everywhere. We used to have our keys near the entryway, and that worked great too. Just our situation has kind of changed, and so where we're at in our home now, it's easier if our keys are just up in the bedroom. I suggest to pick a spot near your entryway or on a shelf in your bedroom or, even in a drawer, wherever works for you. Just make sure that everyone knows that that's the spot for keys. You get home, that's where your keys go. That way, you don't have to worry about where the heck your keys went. The third one that I think is a great step is just creating a system for all the paperwork. If you have kids going to school, chances are they are bringing home slews of paper, or you're getting snail mail, or permission slips need to be signed. It's really time to create a simple routine. And here's what we do at our home. When the girls get home from school, they unload their backpacks and put all their papers on the kitchen table. Now, I know, I thought you had a system for it. I do, my friend. Let me just keep going. The girls will put their papers on the table. And while I'm prepping for dinner, I can quickly go through them. Anything that needs to be shred gets set to a side. And typically my youngest will help me shred stuff. She loves shredding. Might as well have her help me, right? And anything that needs to be filed goes upstairs in the paper tray on my desk. I'm a huge fan of keeping important documents digitally because I feel like you just never know. All of a sudden, somebody's like, hey, can you send me this over? And you're like, oh, well, I'm not at my computer. I'm driving to the grocery store. You've got to remind yourself to send it over. Anyway, if I have it digitally and I can easily find it and then send it to them, man, that just causes less stress for myself. So I am a huge fan of documents are digital. I will scan the ones that I put in my paper tray on my desk. This system has just really saved me from having lost papers, and it's so easy to stick with because it's so simple and it's just become part of our routine. The last step that I'm going to share is add a weekly menu board. One of the best tools in our house is our family menu board. It's on the pantry door, in the kitchen, and every week we write out the dinners we're having, along with any big events like dentist appointments or play dates or family outings. We write it on there so everyone is aware. And this just helps so much after a long day. How many times are you just so freaking pooped after a very long day and then you're getting asked, what's for dinner? And in your mind, it's like, I don't even have capacity to think about dinner right now. That is where the menu board comes in handy. So you can just quickly look at the menu board and be like, oh, it looks like we're doing build a burrito today or whatever it is, right? Instead of everyone asking, what's for dinner and scrambling to figure it out or going out and buying McDonald's or Wendy's, you have a plan and it takes one more decision off my plate and really keeps things running smoothly during the week. I know what you're thinking. This sounds great, but will my family actually use it? Well, let's talk about a couple of the most common challenges and how to overcome them. First, what if no one remembers to use the command center? Well, start by making it a habit. For example, anytime the girls come home, they know to unload their backpacks and put the papers on the table. That's part of their routine now. I have seen other people who have very cute spaces in their homes that have clipboards and each kid has a paper tray. I just don't have that right now. I think it's a very cute idea. I'm going for practicality here, and that is not practical in my house. So it makes sense for my girls to just put it on the table. Now, for the calendar, I will remind Nate to add things as they come up. And I update it regularly so it's always accurate. Sometimes Nate will be like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with the guys and do such and such. And I'll be like, okay, that sounds great. Like, you do need to add it to the calendar because I will tell you right now, I am not going to remember it. I'm not going to remember the date and time that you tell me because I'm looking at the calendar when I'm making plans. Another common challenge that I hear is, what if the system doesn't stick? Keep it simple. Simple things will have an easier time sticking. So don't overcomplicate your command center with too many steps or too many tools. Focus on the essentials like a calendar, a place for your keys, a system for your papers. Add more as you go if you need to. If you don't need to and it's working great and you feel less stress, girl, that's great. Don't add more. There's no need to add more. Lastly, remember this, your family command center doesn't have to look like the Pinterest perfect family command center. It just needs to work for your family. Ours is functional. It's definitely not fancy, and that's okay. The goal is really to make mornings less stressful and more predictable, and that's a win in my book. Setting up a family center is one of those things that feels small but makes a big difference. Whether it's having a shared calendar, a designated spot for your keys, a routine for managing paperwork, a system for where lunchboxes go so that we remember to fill them. These simple systems can take the chaos out of the mornings and bring more calm to your day. Next time, we're going to be diving into something every busy parent can relate to, managing household paperwork, okay? It's going to be one of my favorites because, like I mentioned earlier, I love digital organization. So I'm excited about this one. If you are just feeling overwhelmed by stacks of mail, school papers, or just important documents that you don't want to misplace, you won't want to miss it. Set a reminder to stay tuned for next week. I'm going to be sharing how to streamline your paperwork flow to simplify your daily routine and really how a simple filing system can transform your home office and reduce stress for your entire family. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love if you share it with a friend. And don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss our next episode. But until then, I hope you celebrate the small wins along the way, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Tidy the Clutter podcast. I hope you're leaving today with at least one small step that you're excited to take. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about finding what works for you and building on it little by little. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love it if you'd give the podcast a follow and leave a quick review. It really helps others find the show and join us on this journey toward less stress and more ease. And if you're looking for more tips, resources, or just a bit of extra motivation, head over to tidytheclutter.com, and everything you need to stay organized and feel more in control is waiting for you there. Until next time, keep things simple, stay focused, and enjoy those small wins along the way. Take care and talk soon.